Hello everyone, this is Dr. Achal Singh and I welcome you all in today's session of the course module titled as Service Marketing. Now, previously also we have discussed the concept of the services and the marketing, and in today's session we will be dealing with the other concepts regarding its characteristics, the importance, how it developed, that we will be dealing in today's session. So, I welcome you again in our course module titled as Service Marketing. Now, before moving into the subject, we have already discussed the fact that services are all being related about the deeds, activities and the associations which are intangible. And the marketing, it is an activity or it is maybe defined as a process wherein the marketers are trying to channelize out their marketing efforts for the purpose of satisfaction of the needs and the wants of their target audience. Not only talking of with gratifying the needs and the wants of the target audience, but the marketer's main objective is to provide their offerings in such a way that the needs and the wants and the aspirations of the society at large may be accomplished. Moving in the further slides, as we have already discussed the fact that service marketing focuses on understanding and managing how people interact with intangible experiences, maybe in the form of providing services by the banking industry, or maybe with regard to the intangible benefits that we are getting from the retailing sector, from the healthcare services, from the hospitality sector. But all these entities, all these organizations, they are operating in the environment for the purpose of giving us a memorable experience to cherish upon, and thereby creating and maintaining a healthy relationship that is being talked of as a loyalty to be maintained by the marketers with the customers and the consumers to consume out their offerings for the years to come, and thereby maintaining out their goodwill in the marketplace. Now, the concept of service, we have already understood the fact that it is an intangible product that is being consumed simultaneously, involving an interaction between the provider and the customer. It is an action or an activity that provides benefits to the customers but does not result in the ownership of a tangible goods. Now, this particular concept is all being related with defining out the characteristics of the intangibility, and we know that the intangibility factor is such a concept, it is such an attribute which is basically being related with an concept that cannot be seen, that cannot be touched. But the thing is that all we can do is we can cherish out the things, we can cherish out the experiences, we can cherish out the satisfaction that we are getting after the consumption of a particular offering that is basically intangible. So, the basic characteristic of the service is that it is intangible, and after the consumption of that particular kind of offering, we are not getting certain kind of tangible commodity that can be said to act upon as in a form of the possession. So, that is why we are saying that it does not result in the ownership of a tangible good. Now, in the slide it is being given that it is all about understanding how the people interact with the intangible experiences. It involves managing the service encounter, building trust and focusing on quality. Yes, we have already discussed the fact that particularly the service offerings which the marketers are trying to offer to the customers or to the target audience, they are basically intangible kind of way. And here it is because of this intangibility, the marketers are trying to tangibilize out the intangible clues. They are taking out the help of some tangible goods or the tangible commodities for the purpose of accentuating or for the purpose of helping out the intangibilized offerings which they are trying to serve in the market area, and thereby building a credible and trustworthy relationship amongst the consumers or their target audience. It is also being defined as the effective service marketing requires a deep understanding of the customer needs, preferences and the main point in order to design and promote the service that delivers the exceptional quality. Now, for the purpose of, we know that every marketer who is operating in this competitive scenario, they are creating certain value, and it is because of that particular value that the business organization is trying to occupy a market space and a marketplace in this competitive scenario. So, as in a marketer, either the marketer the marketer who is trying to offer you a certain kind of intangible benefits and the deeds, they should try to firstly understand the hidden needs of their target audience, the consumers and the customers that they are trying to deal upon. and thereby after knowing, after exploring their hidden needs and the wants, their aspirations, their psychological attributes, they should try to develop and they should try to create certain kind of benefits and associations which are themselves being talked of as an value that is almost creating an added advantage over the offerings that are being given by their competitors. So, in this particular situation, we can say that as in a service firm or as in a service marketer, we should be able to create certain kind of value that is creating a differential kind of position, that is creating a differential value amongst the minds of the target audience, and because of that particular factor, the target audience is trying to consume out your offerings as again and again as maybe talked of as against the offerings that the competitors are trying to offer in the marketplace. Now, moving on to the next slide. This is the slide that is giving you a crux idea of the characteristics or the natures or the features which the services are holding about. And the very first, as we have already talked about, the fact that the services are intangible in nature. We cannot experience, we cannot see them, we cannot touch them, we cannot feel them. The thing is that we can only cherish them. So, the intangibility factor is the most important attribute which can be thrown or which can be said that it is the most important attribute of the services which the marketers are trying to deal in the market area. The second important attribute is related with the heterogeneity. Now, the heterogeneity speaks of the fact that here the firm, the service provider which are offering you the deeds and the associations and the efforts that they are creating may be heterogeneous in nature. They may not be the same. Because we can take an example, like suppose as a customer and a consumer, you have visited to a hotel or a restaurant for the purpose of dining out. Now, visiting to a hotel or a restaurant for dining out may be giving you the fact wherein you are consuming out a physical commodity in the form of the meals that you are consuming, or to satisfy, to gratify or to satisfy your hunger or your thirst. But the hidden part is that the intangible offerings that you are consuming is in the form of the ambience, the proper decor, the welcoming attitude of the attendants that they are giving you on, and because of all these kind of intangible attributes, you are cherishing the physical commodity that you are consuming in the form of the meals. But here the situation is not the fact that we can say that the same kind of welcoming attitude may be given by the waiter or by the attendants in other kind of situations. It may so happen that once you have visited to that particular hotel, you have experienced a very satisfied kind of level, you have experienced a very good kind of satisfaction, you have felt a feeling of the delightment, but in the next visit it may so happen that you have not experienced the same kind of ambience and the decor that you have visited in your first experience or in your first visit. So, this is what is being talked of as a heterogeneity, that is also an important attribute of the services. Now, coming to the next attribute which is being related with the inseparability. Now, inseparability itself, it speaks of the fact that here whatever offerings that the service provider or the firm is trying to give in the market area in the form of the production of the services, they are simultaneously being related with the consumption factor. We can take an example for the purpose of getting an idea of what the inseparability deals about. Suppose in the classroom, if you are not being available in the classroom or you have not visited to a classroom for the purpose of getting an information or what the teacher is trying to teach you in the classroom, then you will not be able to grasp or assimilate what is being taught in the classroom. So, it means the teacher or the educator or the learner and the educator should be simultaneously at the same point of time for the purpose of consuming the services, and for the purpose of the production is also happening on the part of the educator or on the part of the faculty member. The faculty member is giving you the information in the form of the production, and here the consumer or the target audience is assimilating those kind of information in the form of the consumer. So, the production and the consumption is getting on, or it is happening at the same point of time. We are not able to separate them at a later course of action. Now, the variability is also one of the important characteristics of the services, wherein you can find out that here the offerings or the experiences or the deeds or the efforts that is being created by the service firm or the marketer may not be the same for each and every point of time. We can take an example, like suppose you have visited to a dentist for the purpose of getting yourself medically restored because you are having certain kind of toothache problem. Now, visiting to a dentist for the purpose of extraction of the tooth is one of the experience that you have gained, and in the first visit you have gained a very enriching experience because the doctor has extracted out the tooth in a very satisfying kind of level. But the same kind of, if you as in a target audience or you as in a consumer, you have visited in the second kind of phase, the same kind of experience may not be able to, you will not be able to get the same kind of experience in the second discourse. So, this is what is being talked of as the services are basically variable in nature. We cannot say that we are able to standardize out the services, but the thing is that if the services are variable, it's a very important duty for a service provider or for a service marketer is to check out this variability aspect, and this variability aspect is what is being talked of, that here the quality check and the control mechanism should be there for the purpose of preemptive check of the quality of the services that the service provider or the firm is trying to give to the target audience. So, variability is also being talked of in the sense that here the service firm is giving you certain kind of deeds, and the associations and the efforts that they are trying to create is basically an intangible effort, they are intangible deeds and the associations, and that is why because of that particular kind of intangibility, the marketers and the service firms are not being able to standardize out their offerings which are given out to their target audience. Now, the last feature, it is being related with the perishability. We know that the perishability is being related with the certain kind of deterioration. The perishability is also being talked of in the sense wherein the provider or the service firm is trying to give out their efforts which are basically perishable in nature. Whatever offerings that they are trying to dispose of in the marketplace for the purpose of gratifying out the needs and the wants and the aspirations of their target audience, they are basically perishable in nature. We as in a marketer, we as in a service provider, we are not able to store it at a later course of action. That is, the inputs, the offerings that are provided or that are disposed of in the market area for the purpose of meeting out the needs of their target audience may not be stored for a later course of action. And because of this particular factor, it can be said that the production and the consumption is also, or it is very much being necessary enough here to define that the production and the consumption should happen at the same point of time simultaneously, because we as in a service provider, we cannot store out our services, we cannot store out our offerings for the purpose of meeting out the needs and the demands of the people or the target audience in the later course of action when the demand arises so in the market area. Now, this perishability factor is a certain kind of challenge which is being given out to the service provider, because here we can say that if the demand is not very much being adequate enough in the market area, even though the service provider has to offer out their services, even if the demand is not adequate, and because of that particular feature, that is the perishability feature, the service provider, the marketer are not being able to store it for the purpose of getting it consumed later on in the earlier discourse, in the later course of action. So, this is a perishability factor. We can take an example to understand this concept. Suppose the airlines industry, they are trying to give out their offerings in the form of the airline commutation, in the form of giving out to the services in the form of the airline commutation, but if the demand is not adequate, even then the airline industry will be trying to give out your easy commutation, a comfortable and a safe commutation, even though the seats are not being adequately being packed up in that particular kind of tourist destination. So, this is the perishability. Moving on to the next slide. Now, we have already dealt with the characteristics, and this particular slide is all being related with the characteristics wherein the intangibility, heterogeneity and inseparability is being talked of. And here the intangibility has already been given in the, we have already discussed the fact, and it is also being written in the slide that here the intangibility is being related that, and it is being said that the services cannot be touched, they cannot be seen, tasted, smelled, processed before the purchase. And because of this particular feature, it is very hard for the customers to evaluate the quality and the value of the service before they experience it. And because of this particular feature, we have said that there is a need that there should be a mechanism and a control mechanism for the purpose of preemptive check of the quality of the services that they are trying to offer in the market area. Because we cannot standardize out our offerings, we can only customize or personalize out the services in the disposition of the gratification of the needs and the wants of your target audience. Now, the heterogeneity, it is written in the slide that the heterogeneity is being related with the variability and it differs depending upon the provider, the customer and the situation. The service provider need to focus on standardizing out the process. Training employees to deliver the consistent quality is very much being needed enough. Now, I have already discussed you the fact that the heterogeneity is all being related with the variability. So, here we know that it is the people, it is the employees who are being related with the offering of their services which are basically intangible. They are being asked and they are being supposed to offer out their services, they are being supposed to offer out their benefits in such a way wherein the target customers and the people and the individuals or even if the society at large should be getting out the benefit from the disposition of that particular service. So, the thing is that the employees who are dealing out to dispose of their efforts, who are dealing with the disposition of their offerings should be trained at large, because it is the employees who are dealing or who are acting as a frontline employees. So, there is a very important need to give them a proper training, because they are the frontline staff who are dealing out with the needs and who are dealing out and who are identifying and exploring and analyzing the needs and the wants of their target audience. Now, inseparability, it is being written in the slide that inseparability is often being related with the fact that services are produced and consumed simultaneously. The service provider and the customer interact directly during the service provider. I have already discussed the fact that inseparability, it's all being related with the fact that the production and the consumption of the services are going to happen simultaneously at the one particular point of time. We as a provider of the services, we are not able to store out our offerings to get it consumed later on at a later point of time. So, this is what is being talked of as a feature of inseparability. Moving on to the next slide. Now, the perishability. Perishability speaks of the fact that here the services cannot be stored or saved up for the later use. Once the services is delivered, it is going to consumed at the same point of time. The service providers need to manage the demand and the fluctuations, the demand fluctuations very effectively, and where there have an excess capacity or insufficient capacity to meet out the demand. So, it may so happen that if the demand is proper and you as a service provider, you are not being able to meet out the demand. The same situation may also happen that the demand is adequate, but you as a service provider or service marketer is not being capable enough to meet out the demand. So, here the challenge lies before the service marketer or the firm that how to meet out that particular kind of excess demand that is getting floated in the marketplace or the market space, and how to meet out that demand. So, here the managerial challenge that lies before the service marketer is to swiftly move on their service marketing strategies in such a way that that particular excess demand should be met out very swiftly and very adequately by the service provider by creating certain kind of newer offerings, by giving them certain kind of newer offerings then and there, and in this particular way the marketers will be creating a unique selling proposition in the marketplace. Now, the variability, it is also yet another characteristics which is being related with the fact that services can vary in quality based on the skills of the service provider, the customer's expectations and other factors. The service provider need to establish quality control mechanisms, train the staff effectively and manage the customer expectations to minimize out the variability. Now, the variability is also being related with the fact that here, as the services are basically intangible, the quality of the offerings which the marketers are trying to dispose of in the market area, it all depends upon the quality and the training and the efficiency and the adequacy of the marketing people, of the marketing staff or the frontline staff who are supposed to meet out or who are supposed to meet and have an effective development of an effective command with the target audience. So, here the frontline staff should be trained and they should be given an orientation and a briefing about how to interact, how to explore, how to interact, come effectively to from the target audience for the purpose of exploring, for the purpose of exploring the hidden needs and the wants of their target audience. Because it is being seen that at many point of time the marketers are having out their offerings, they are there in the market area and the marketplace, they are there with the things, they are there with the offerings, but the thing is that the target audience and the customers, they are not knowing the use of that particular offering which the marketers are trying to dispose of in the market area. So, as a service provider, as a firm, the people who are being supposed to deal with the, or who are supposed to get in touch with that particular kind of target audience, they have to be trained adequately, they have to be given them in a proper orientation, so that they will be able to communicate effectively regarding the important characteristics, regarding the important kind of variability, regarding the important kind of characteristics and the importance of that particular offering which the marketers are trying to dispose of in the market area. So, basically the interpersonal skill and intrapersonal skill of the employees who are being deployed in the marketing organization should be given, and they should be developed, and they should be effectively trained that how to deal out with that particular kind of target audience very effectively and very efficiently, so that the customers may be having at an ease to assimilate that particular service kind of offering which is basically intangible nature. Now, moving on to the next slide. Now, the next slide itself, it is being related with highlighting the importance of the services from different perspectives, from different angles, like from the perspective of the economy as an large, from the perspective of the customers, from the perspective of the efficiency and the productivity that the marketers are trying to create in the market area, from the perspective of the society at large. So, the importance and the significance of the services or the service marketing can be understood with the different kind of divergent views. The very first divergent view is being related with an economy, and the economic significance is all being related within a significance which is having out a feel and which is having out a relative kind of advantage with the GDP factor, that is gross domestic product. We know that every marketer, every service provider, they have an objective to gratify, they have an objective to gratify out the needs and the wants of their target audience. So, as in a service provider or as in a marketer, you should be able to develop out your vision and the mission in such a way that your broader objectives and the goals can be satisfied or can be accomplished. So, within the parameters of our corporate objectives, you as a service provider, you should try to develop out your mission and the vision in such a way that you as a marketer or as a service provider, you are trying to accomplish out your long term objectives of getting yourself being placed as effectively in the market space or in the marketplace as being talked of as an having out an added advantage as compared to your competitors. So, this is a fact wherein you as a marketer, you will be able to give a boost to the gross domestic product of your economy, because we know that every marketer, they are being created and they are being supposed with the creation and mobilization of the scarce resources which are there available in the economy, and we know that every economy, they are having out their disposition of the resources which are scarce in nature. So, it is the duty of a marketer working in any of the capacity, working in the capacity of the functional manager, working in the capacity of the finance manager, working in the capacity of the marketing manager, the HR manager, they should try to use out that particular resources which are scarce in nature in such a way that they are creating certain kind of value which are being talked of as a creation of the value, and that value generation is in such a way that their competitors are not able to create it in a unique kind of way. So, you as a service provider, you are offering a unique services, a unique value creation which is and because of that, this particular thing, you as a marketer, you will be able to satisfy out the hidden needs and the wants of your target audience. So, definitely if the production is happening out at the same point of time, the production is going out in the market area or the market space, with the production, the consumption is also getting taken place, because we know that all the offerings that are being provided by the service marketer or the producer, they have to be disposed of in the marketplace or the market space, and after the disposition the consumption will happen. And in the case of the services, the production and the consumption are happening at the same point of time. That also we have discussed in the previous discourse. So the production and after the production, the consumption is going to take place, and not only after production, we can say that production and consumption are happening at the same point of time, and after the production and the consumption, we will be having out certain kind of scarce, we will be having out certain kind of leftover resources that has to be reinvested in the priority sectors. So the GDP factor, the boosting of the GDP factor, it only speaks of the fact that here the service provider and the service marketer are trying to allocate out their scarce resources in such a way that the productivity of the factors of production are mobilized, and they are trying to get out or they are trying to create out the value in such a way that these value creation are unique in way, and they, because of that particular uniqueness, they are standing out from the crowd and they are creating a unique selling proposition. Now the next point, that is with regard to that is being related with economic significance, it talks about the job creation. Now the job creation is also it is very much imperative that if the marketers are producing out the commodities, definitely the mass production is being done. Now the job creation automatically it will happen, because for the purpose of production, even if we are using out an automated kind of way, if we are using out a more machinery or more, we are using the deployment of the more technological kind of things, technology devices, the deployment of the more technology devices, then only with that particular kind of factor, even then we have to deploy the proper manpower, and the proper manpower staff should be there for the purpose of effectively dealing out that particular technology or the technological devices. So definitely the job creation will happen, and innovation and growth. Now we know that every marketer and the service provider, they have to be creative at a particular point of time. Until unless we are creative, we will not be able to be innovative. So this is an important need, wherein we can say that all the service providers, they should be having out a creative bent of mind. Until unless we are creative, we will not be able to innovate something new. And in order to survive in this competitive scenario, there is an important need, it warrants for to have a creative bent of mind, because this creativity will altogether lead to an innovativity, and in order to survive in this competitive scenario, with the passage of each and every point of time, we have to offer a certain unique kind of services or unique kind of offerings that is basically being there available in the market, but that uniqueness is not being available. So as a service provider and a firm, we have to just ensure that whatever available resources that we are having out at our disposal should be channelized, should be mobilized and allocated in such a way that we are trying to create a certain new kind of offerings that should be capable enough to gratify out the hidden needs and the wants of your target audience. And definitely the innovation is very much being needed enough, because in this competitive scenario, we will not be able to grow and survive until unless we are having that particular kind of creativity and innovativity in our whole 7 P's, that is the P's of product, price, place, and so this is all being related with an economic significance. Moving on with the next point, that is being related within a customer satisfaction and loyalty. Now here the customer satisfaction and loyalty, it speaks of the fact that we are having out certain other kind of points, we are having certain other points to discuss upon, with the fact that the marketer's effort in the form of the 7 P's, which are in the form of the 7 P's, and they are being related with product, price, place, promotion, people, process and physical evidence. They are being related and they are being channelized in such a way that the customer's experience are being enhanced. They are channelizing out their resources, their strategies are being developed, they are drafting out their strategies, the procedural plans and the workouts are being implemented in such a way that the customer satisfaction can be improved in a broader perspective. So the enhanced customer experience, and definitely all the efforts of a marketer is to diversify out, or is to give out their offerings in such a way that the customer's experience are being enhanced to a greater extent. That is a very important need, and that is a very important need of every marketer, is to gratify and to satisfy out the needs and the wants of the aspirations of their target audience, and not only about the target audience, that their strategies should be developed in such a way that the objectives of the society at large should also be fulfilled. Now, the competitive advantage, it speaks of the fact that whatever offerings that we are trying to develop and to dispose of in the market area should be of such a nature that they are creating certain kind of uniqueness. Now, that uniqueness should be in such a position that you as a marketer, you are enjoying a competitive advantage as compared to your competitors. Now that competitive advantage speaks of the fact that your efforts are somewhat is being created in such a way that you are creating the value which is altogether different from the value creation process of the competitors, and that value creation process will be different, and because of this particular fact you will be able to create out a value, you will be able to create out a disposition of the service which is very much being unique in nature, and that will be giving out a competitive advantage as compared to the strategies or which the competitors are trying to develop and to dispose out the market area. Now, the next point is being related within a brand differentiation. Now, the brand differentiation, we know that the brand differentiation is being related within a accomplishment with the fact of naming, the fact of associating certain kind of logo, certain kind of numbers, certain kind of statements, certain kind of symbols which are very much being unique in nature. And the brand is certainly, it is in a process, it is in a name, it is in a design, it is in a logo, it is in a featuring, it is in a distinctive symbol which is creating and differentiating factor of your offering from your competitors. Now, it is very imperative to create a distinction and to create a differentiation and to create an identification of the offerings that you are trying to deal in the market area as compared to the offerings which the customers, which the competitors are trying to dispose of in the market area. Now, why this differentiation is being needed? Because this differentiation is very important to talk of in this significance of the to talk of and to understand the significance of the marketing, service marketing, basically because services are intangible in nature. They are perishable, they are variable, they cannot be stored. So, the brand differentiation, it is also very much holding on a very important significance in case of the service marketing, because the services are intangible in nature. So, whatever kind of intangibility efforts, whatever deeds, whatever associations, whatever efforts that you are trying to create and to dispose of in the market area for the purpose of satisfying the needs and the wants of your target audience should be of such a nature wherein you are able to create a uniqueness, wherein you are able to create a differentiation, wherein you are able to name it, wherein you are able to identify it. The customers and the competitors, they are able to get it differentiated from their offerings which they are trying to dispose of the market area, and because of that particular factor, the competitors will not be able to replicate it. And if they are trying to replicate, definitely they will be held penalized in the eyes of the law. So, brand differentiation is also one of the point that is being talked of towards highlighting out the significance of the services marketing, wherein it is an important duty of the marketer to make out a distinction or to create out a distinction regarding the offerings that they are trying to dispose in the market area. Now, the next point, it is all being related with an improved productivity and an efficiency. We know that every marketer who are channelizing out their energies in the form of the 7 P's. Definitely, we are limiting our discussion towards the disposition and towards the allocation and the drafting of the 7 P's, because in case of the service marketing, we are being concerned with not only the conventional 4 P's related with product, price, place and promotion, but apart from the conventional 4 P's, we are also equally being related with the disposition of the 3 more P's, and they are in the form of the people, process and physical evidence. So, the improved productivity and the efficiency, it only talks about that whatever strategies and the procedural plans that the marketers, especially service marketers, are trying to dispose or they are trying to create should be streamlined with the operative conditions that they are trying to make it out. They should try to figure out, they should try to check out that their operative efficiency, their operative measurability, their operative connectivity should be aligned with the objectives that they are trying to fulfill upon, because we know that every organization or every entity and every association, they are having certain kind of objectives to fulfill upon. So our procedural plans and the strategies should be developed in such a way that the objectives that we have tried to fulfill upon, or the objectives that we have tried to establish upon within the parameters of the vision and the mission, that should be accomplished at the very first juncture. Because if our long term objectives are being satisfied, they are being accomplished, they are being fulfilled upon, then only the shorter term objectives can be fulfilled upon. So our operative conditions or operations should be in line with the objectives, with the drafting of our objectives and the goals that we have established within the parameters of our corporate objectives. That should be in line with our parameters of our corporate objectives. Now the next point is being related with the cost saving, the growth and the innovations. We know that as in a business entity, as in a service provider, all our objective is to be in such a nature, it should be defined in such a nature that our scarce resources should be mobilized in a very better, in a very efficient kind of way. And if we as a marketer working in any of the functional area, working as a finance manager, working in the capacity of the HR manager, working in the capacity of the R&D development department, working as a marketing manager, we should try to align out the availability of the scarce resources which are available within the disposal of our functional department in consonance with meeting out our objectives, and that particular objectives is definitely being related with the meeting of the needs and the demands of our target audience. So many a times we are seeing that our procedural plans should be cost effective enough, should be very much being efficient enough. That efficiency is also being defined in terms of the factors that are good in nature. So we were discussing about the improved productivity and efficiency, and it was being talked of from the perspective of the business organization. So we know that every business organization, here we are talking of with regard to our service marketers. So the service firm should be able to align out their strategies in such a way that they are being cost effective enough, and they are trying to mobilize out their scarce resources with the greater efficiency and with the greater judicious utilization of the scarce resources. And definitely the growth and the innovation factors have also been talked of. We have already talked of the growth and the innovativity factor. So with this, I am ending up my session here only, and see you. We will be meeting out and we will be continuing this importance of the services in our later discourse. So till then, it's bye from my side. Take care and goodbye.